Hello everybody, welcome back to Trash Comps. Today I'm bringing you the Insanity team. My goal with this team was just to do as much mind damage as possible. Mainly I really wanted Nezglek to do some really good carry damage. Whether I succeeded in that or not, you'll have to watch and see. But I have the Frog also going as a carry. He's going to be doing a lot of damage himself, going and giving a concert to all the enemies. I've used the Frog and focused on him as a carry before. He's really good, so I'm kind of, in a weird way, I'm nerfing him a little bit because I want him to also act as a sort of support for Nezglek at times, and it'll cause some conflict. So this is not the most optimized build, but let's get into the perks. Bree's here for support. She's going to do some tanking, some speed control, so that we can go first alongside Andrin, who's also going to be doing some speed control. We do have these Sharp bonuses. We have Sharp does increases shadow damage as well on both Nezglek and the Frog. And we just have more Insanity stacks on Nezglek. Andrin's doing his marking thing, and he's going to be helping slow people down and speed people up. He has a little bit of powerful too, just because he can get some later on with some of his perks. The Frog is actually going slower because I don't need all the speed. He's going to get sped up fast enough anyways, so I figured I'd have extra perk points elsewhere. I gave him one Bless perk just because I thought that also might be decent. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah. For the town, I already have sort of decks for people. Bree, I kind of just use the same deck over and over again. I haven't, like, made a proper deck for her just yet. But that's okay. I also have decks for Nezglek and Andrin. You can see all these on the side. I'm going over them kind of fast. I did not have a carried Gustav deck that I really liked, so we're going to be messing around with it a little bit. Chant of Accuracies are usually pretty good because they are a song that increases his damage and also costs 0 and procs his level 2 ability, which will deal damage and get him sharp whenever he plays a song. So we're going to be removing some of the heals, some of the speed up stuff from Gustav. He still does get bonus to ranged and slash, or piercing and slash damage. So I will be keeping some shivs in the deck. They can also apply some Insanity. And I really wanted to use Insanity as much as possible as well, because there's some decent scaling cards in the Cleric card pool. There's one in particular that Nezglek has access to. And I think it's decent in the early game, and I wanted to use that before I went into Deja Vu, which is really what I wanted to be focusing on this run too. So we are going to be getting Betty. I did restart a little bit until I got the Betty rare event here. So that way we can start off with a nice purple sheep, and like I said, I want Nezglek to carry, so I'm giving him the purple sheep. It would be good on the Frog as well, and arguably better because the Frog has easier access to Sharp, whereas Nezglek has to be given Sharp by others. So yeah, again, not necessarily the most optimal here, but it's not bad. It'll do the job, kinda, on Madness 16. We're just a little bit hurt. I don't really have the best healing here because I'm not using the Frog as healing. Bree can provide a little bit later, especially after she gets Command and Conquer. And then we have Nezglek's passive healing, but he's also the one I'm trying to have deal damage, so he sometimes ends up killing them too fast, meaning that we don't get the passive healing as high as it could be. We do pick up Scavenge on Frog because Scavenge is a really great card. It's just kind of like a, hey, is there a good card in your graveyard that you had to discard with Trace or something else? Why don't you pick that up? So, yeah. Arguably, I should have an orange Trace for Andrin as well. I think it's typically better, but I wanted to do blue Trace because I was just used to it. From some of my other runs where the extra card really mattered on Andrin, but that was for the All Scouts run, and this is not All Scouts. It'd be nice to trace and fix the decks of my carries sometimes. Yeah, I was also looking at like, oh yeah, those are random attacks that all hit Bree. Thanks, game. So Bree's taking a little bit of a beating. She's getting real roughed up because of a series of random attacks that just kind of aren't going my way. It's just a little bit unfortunate, but that's fine. I do take a quick shot here because the other thing I'm planning to do is go get Tempest. I noticed that the caravan appeared on the route that I can get a sack of grain while also getting Betty. So I figured, why not just throw a little bit of a archery build into Gustav's deck. That way, he could provide Sharp to Neglect by playing the Chance of Accuracies, while also still not really ruining his deck, because Quick Shots will become a 0-cost, draw a card, give Sharp to yourself card. At least the first 3 will. So I want to have around 3 Quick Shots, and maybe some other ranged attack, depending on how the run is going. So picking up 1 here means I can buy 2 in town, and should be pretty set later. I do upgrade Nezlect's Expected Prophecies. Expected Prophecies are a really good card just in general, but on Neglect it gets even more powerful because it becomes a free draw 3, put back 1 on top of your deck if he gets to level 3. Yeah, level 3. That should be right. I had a little bit of a harder time with that fight. The corrupted modifier on that made it much harder than it needed to be, and I just also didn't replay it because I didn't feel like it. So I could have potentially played that a lot better and had a smoother outcome, but you know, what's a few death's doors in the deck? I'll be able to remove them eventually. Andrin just moved his right there. I have a pretty smooth Andrin deck in general. It always includes a draw card because it allows him to draw into the Wild Hunt as fast as he needs to. So or as fast as I can, which is sometimes not fast at all if it's on the very bottom of the deck. Occasionally that happens. Sometimes it happens multiple times in a row. Not saying it happened in this run. I'm not saying it didn't happen either. But yeah, we're also keeping an eye out for some shadow cards on Gustav and on Neglect. There's only 1 like song card that deals shadow and mind damage for Gustav, and it's very, very good. It's a 1-cost, does like, yeah, Whispering Lies right there. Does some good damage. It's also a song, so yeah. As you can see, my shadow is currently being buffed by Sharp, whereas my mind is not, because Gustav doesn't get that perk till level 3. So at the moment, piercing and shadow damage are far better for Gustav than anything else, and this also means that Neglect has no real need to be sharpened just yet, so we can wait a bit on gearing the decks towards buffing him up more than we currently are. His base damage isn't bad either, and the more insanity we apply, the more we reduce the mind damage. There's also an argument for adding a little bit more vulnerability to the deck, but I'm hoping Bree can take care of it with some piercing hells. We get a success here. I wanted to go into the Imp statue, so we didn't have to do another fight, but we did get the Energize card, so I want to make sure we had enough energy on our people. Arguably, I should have given that to Neglect, actually. Having him focus as the carry. Although I don't think I've showed off a Song Frog either, so that's pretty good. Definitely worth doing. I don't know why I sharpened up Neglect right there. I think I was just like, oh yeah, I finally have like the right thing to sharpen Neglect. I guess his hallucinations can do more damage. Like I said, no point to it just yet. We do have Mind Twist. I kept Mind Visions in the deck just because it's cheap right now. It's not very good most of the time, but I do have a little bit of extra sight to deal some of that damage. I don't know, it can be useful. I also have a Purple Stone Skin in Andrin's deck because I felt like I wanted to add a brick to his deck, make it not as good as it could be for dealing out as much damage as he can on first turn. It will have him survive. I don't know, sometimes I just want to like try out new cards, even when I know they aren't going to be that good. Just to see if I'm missing out on something, like maybe something will surprise me, you know? We do take the level 2 Night Terrors there, so we can reduce the resistances even further of enemies. It's going to be something I'm going to need to do later down the line because we're not going to be able to buff ourselves too much. We don't have a lot of great ways to apply Sharp just yet, and I'm not planning on building Gustav in a way that will let him apply Sharp to everybody unless he happens to get like a really good, gosh, I forget what it's called. I think it's called Battle Ballad. I don't know, it's the one that gives powerful, Sharp, and Bless to everybody on the team. But he'd have to have a pretty energy efficient deck to be able to pull that off and do everything else too, so not so sure that's going to happen. Especially because songs are going to be still pretty expensive for him. Yeah, Quick Shot's actually dealing a decent amount of damage too. I could have maybe played that, killed the other imp, but I didn't need to. I wanted to keep it alive so that we could heal up a little bit more. And then I knew we could finish this guy off on turn 2. So deck's not looking too bad. I do want Rain of Arrows shows up, and I'm like, man, that's a really, really early Rain of Arrows, and it's really, really good whenever Sylvie gets it. And I'm kind of doing a Sylvie build, except I'm not like super supporting her like I normally would. So I take the Rain of Arrows because, again, I was in a fun mood. I was like, yeah, this will be good, totally. Fishing Rod is nice. It's kind of like a draw one extra card every 2 turns, so it does a little bit of healing too. Like I said, we were able to remove those Death's Doors. It's very nice as well, so not too much pain there. We get a purple Spyglass, even though we already had a Spyglass, so it could have been not purple, and we would have gotten a purple one anyways, but hey, we get to apply more sight to all enemies, which will help out our 1 sight-based damage card, at least early on. We're going to be getting rid of that later. So Yoger's not usually too much of a problem for most teams. I don't think it'll be too much different for this team. One of the nice things about applying is Insanity, which I have failed to go over so far, is that it does reduce enemy damage. So it makes a non-tanky team like this a lot tankier than it should be, which is nice. So you can reduce their damage by up to 50%. It never stacks any higher than that, even off of Madness levels, because 50% is the minimum cap, which makes it so enemies can actually deal damage to you. We do get a nice pickup of a barricade there. I do end up picking up Innervate because I'm noticing a lack of energy on Gustav a lot of the time. He's not able to play a lot of his cards. His deck isn't really built too well to be able to play all his cards, to be honest, so that's part of the problem. Plus I don't have any like AoE damage that I'm doing with him. Messing it up just a little bit, but I don't get Hunter's Mark here, or sorry, Wild Hunt here, but sometimes it's better not to get it early on this fight, because if you can kill the Dryad and the Stumpy very early on, then you can get all the mark on Ylmer after he's already dispelled Mark, meaning that you can stack it to 50 and it'll stay on him for a bit longer, assuming you have a lot of other debuffs on him. So yeah. That said, I think still not being able to kill the Dryad early on like isn't the best, because she can sometimes speed up the entire team, and then you can also get Shackles by Stumpy, but fortunately I think it just had a really good roll where they didn't do either of those moves, so it just made the fight, like, I don't know, twice as easy as it normally is. There we do get the Wild Hunt. We get a bunch of mark off, like I said. I think he will be dispelling it this turn, which is a bit unfortunate. And we do have to attack into some thorns, but not too many. As you can see, Rain of Arrows also isn't too useful right here, but we have the damage regardless. Upgraded Throw Bolas is really nice for Bree. She's going to have skills reduced in cost, and it is a skill attack. And she is our speed manipulator, so making people not be able to go is crazy. But also, look at all these purples. This is like... Sorry, but crazy I read of the men is like, look at all these purples. Steel Rod is amazing. It is a free draw every turn. So, purple Steel Rod, that is. Leather Gloves is just free powerful every turn. So, I'm feeling pretty good about it right now. I didn't really have like a plan where to go outside of getting Tempest here. We do find Hunting Ring for Andrin here, and we find Brass Amulet. I'd love to take War Drum as well to reduce the cost of songs every single turn so that Gustav no longer has many injury problems, but Gauntlets is also a tempting choice for the powerful, and we can only buy 1. Thankfully, we don't have any curses in our deck, so we don't have to spend money on that. We were able to remove all the Death's Doors because Nezglect is a nice cleric. I do buy the Gauntlets. I'm not sure that's correct, actually. Wait, I totally should have bought the Sharpen, shouldn't I? Am I crazy? Did I not? Oh, God. Well, don't be like me. Buy the Sharpen. +1 Sharpen is amazing. Never give that up. Here we can go through the deck edits. I am having a bit more powerful put onto Nezglect. I do plan on having more sharp for him a bit later. I get rid of the stone skin. I know it's bad. I wanted to try it. I don't know, maybe I'll make a tanky Andrin build one day. I get rid of the detection. I'm not sure that's correct. I probably should have kept it and just increased it or made it not draw first every time. I think that would have been better, actually. So that way you could apply 4 mark to all enemies for 1 cost, which is pretty decent. Rain of Arrows, I'm debating on whether I really need it or not. It seems fun, but it's going against my idea of Nezglect's going to carry this run. So, a lot of decisions I'm trying to make here. again, the ring of increasing mark by 1 is really, really solid. Like, that's a very big boon to the run. Very grateful to have picked that up. There's an argument to get Entrench here on Bree, like there always is. Having Fortify every turn is nice, but we are killing kind of fast, and I'm going on more of a fast kill team idea, even though I hadn't prepped fully for it. I don't know. I'm a little bit all over the place, but here's Deja Vu. Deja Vu is a really fun card where it gets stronger the bigger Vanish Pile is. Like, it has X application of damage and insanity. Based on your Vanish Pile, it vanishes itself, but not before putting a card either into your deck or 2 into your discard pile. Or if you get the purple version, it puts 2 purple versions into your deck, which is really fun, and that's what I wanted to do with Nezgalek, so we're going to be finding a way to corrupt his Deja Vu later on, and hopefully not losing them both like I did that one run where I just happened to get Deja Vu when I was trying it out for the first time. Not too long ago. That was on the site team. This team honestly does share similarities with the site team, except Sylvie's not going to be doing all of the damage. We're definitely going to be having Nezgalek and Gustav do the damage and do it with mind. It's not going to be piercing, which matters to me because that's the theme. So we do manage to get down to 15 cards in everybody's deck. It looks like Gustav has 16, but that's just because of the boon. So, and it's basically not a real card. I don't know if these are the most optimal decks. Like I said, I can't believe I didn't take that sharp, and I'm still hung up on that. Like, what was I thinking? Oh no, I did. I took it. Okay, I did take it. Oh, I didn't take the war drum or the drum. That's what it was. I don't know. I think the drum also would have been better on Gustav, to be honest. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I was probably just like, I'm gonna find something better later on, but the drum of reducing things by 1 is really good. Anyways, this fight here is not really too much trouble. It's killing the guy up front. He is great because he does the most damage, so we're able to do that pretty fast. I do have enough energy to play Rain of Arrows, which, as you can see, does a good amount of damage even if you're not Sylvie. All you have to do is have a lot of sharp and some powerful. We are running the powerful perks, I believe, that just fall off at end of turn. So you can get up to 7, but now powerful gives 10% damage. So overall, it's not too much harder to get to 12 than it is to get to 7, to be honest. But if you can get to 7 every turn, it is 10% more damage than you can get with the other perk that lets you stack up to 12, but then only 1 powerful falls off each turn. I don't know. There's definitely an argument that it's not that good. I've just been messing around with it on the last few runs to see how I feel about it. There is also the definite argument that it's very good in the early game where it's harder to apply powerful and lets you do that much more damage early on. It used to stack up to 10. That was very nice when it did. Made these fights a lot easier, but they had to nerf it, I guess. Yeah. Gustav this is his battle concert turn, I want to say. That sounds better. Basically, every time he plays a song there, it does damage to the highest monster and gives him sharp, so he stacks up that sharp real quick, and basically just killed everything by singing. It is fantastic. I love the frog. He's a great guy. It's funny, I never used to play the frog because Melik would do that all the time in our old co-op runs, but I've since gotten very used to playing him with the Scouts run. So, yeah. Frog is doing work. And this is even before Sharp is stacking or adding to mind damage, so it'll be even better later, which reminds me, it's better to have double sources of damage when you're stacking up buffs like Sharp or Bless, because they both get that buff individually. So things like Whispering Lies get plus, if you have 10 Sharp, it gets plus 20 damage. So it also means that they're affected more by Mitigate, but Mitigate's a pretty rare stat, so not too much issue there. And yeah, man, I'm really happy with the damage that we're doing. One thing that Nezgalek is doing really well is applying a bunch of Insanity. So we get the kill right there. We have another Piercing Howl that we pick up on Bree. That's very nice. Always like a snap pick that. Finding Smoke Bomb here, it's just kind of interesting. Like, it'll let some damage be a lot better on certain turns. It also lets you hide from a lot of damage from certain enemies. Not this guy so much. But Yeah. I just have to play nothing there. We are stealth, but we does have a hit all attack. However, he doesn't have a huge slow on Bree, which is really nice, meaning that we might be able to go faster than him on the turn after this. We also stack up 50 mark straight away, thanks to Hunter's Mark. Andrin's really great at doing that on a single enemy. We do find a Piercing Howl, which slows him down just enough that Andrin's going to be faster next turn, meaning that he's also going to get the slow from Asmodee. So we'll be pretty fast there, and man, I didn't even wait for Nesglek to get a heal there. Could have, but I didn't. Here, there's triple Infuriate option, always fun. Not a bad strat, but just not the one I'm going. I should have upgraded the Throw Bolas in town. It's something I forgot to mention. I find that having a chain Throw Bolas is usually better, even though it does cost one more. You do get the reduction in cost later on for Bree, so it isn't as much of a problem. But sometimes 4 energy is a little bit of a problem before you get the cost reduction on the skill, so it's maybe not the worst thing that I didn't take it. Unfortunately, I also don't have the right speeds for being faster than everyone here, but I am healing up somewhat, and I'm keeping that front guy alive, of course, because I don't want him to lose all that insanity healing that he can give to Nesglek for his passive. Unfortunately, that does mean that the Heron heals him up a little bit more, so I'm hoping that that isn't going to be too much of a factor, which it's not. Thankfully, Andrin kills him. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, like, Gustav's other song spell is fairly useless unless he's the carry, and then it's amazing. So it's the one that does damage to everybody, applies sharp to himself, and it's all, and I think powerful to himself too. Maybe that's too many things. But it's very great when you're not having to support the team. It's very bad if you're supporting the team, because it kind of only affects you, and it doesn't really do that much damage if you're not like going sharp mind. So yeah, I could probably refine these builds a lot better, but I don't think they're that difficult to pull off, so I didn't feel the need to. We're trying not to kill that Scarab, because like, I could have ended the fight this turn, but I didn't want to kill the Scarab because it'll give us 150 more shards per or if it escapes, or sorry, if it plays that card per hero, and then we kill it. So at this point, Andrin can do enough damage to probably kill most of these things. That spider was taunting. Didn't kill that spider, unfortunately. We take a little bit of extra damage thanks to that, but we're doing pretty good health-wise. I don't take another Battle Shout because I think I already have 2. If I don't have 2, I should have taken that Battle Shout. I'd like to have 2 generally. Here's the Shrill Tone. This is what lets us increase our mind damage. It's going to be very useful for the foreseeable future. Bree and Nesglek both get cheaper skills. I wish Nesglek's other option was good, but increasing the amount of heals that you get for, like, it doubles the amount of healing that his passive does, which can be very decent healing. It's just like, most of the time you can do a lot more where you don't need to heal if you can play like 3 extra skill cards in a turn. So I don't know, it's one of those like never takes. I wish it did something more. But yeah, well, I won't complain about it too much. He has a really good level 2, which I think just takes away from his not good level 2. Unfortunately, that rat stays alive 1 extra turn. Still, we're going to be able to get an excellent stealth up everybody, except I play a card wrong, so Andrin just gets silenced and hurt instead. It's not the end of the world. Do finish off people. Spectral Missiles is really, really tempting here. Spectral Missiles is one of the better damage cards for Insanity, because it's going to be, or for Sharp Mind and Insanity. It applies a lot of Insanity. It does a lot of repeat damage. Ignores block, but Purple Innervate is also really tempting because I kind of want it to go out of the deck. Here we do get to our Tempest, which is something great. Bree's been needing a little bit of energy, so that's nice to have. I take Druidic Amulet just because Nesglek didn't have a ring yet, and it seemed pretty decent. And of course we get Tempest on Gustav, because he's going to be playing some quick shots and getting sharp up on himself, like I said, and hopefully that'll let him get more sharp on Nesglek later. So, yes, I know, it's a very original Tempest run, something that has never been done before. I don't know, Tempest is a really hard thing to pass up sometimes, and I just saw it there at the beginning, and I was like, well, you know what, I might as well go Tempest if I'm already going that direction. So, plus I didn't have a plan of where else I'd want to go. Other than I think that like going towards the sand could be good because I could get some bless on Nezglect as well. So I do have that perk to increase his bless. Gustav's doing great damage already. He gets up to 25 sharp pretty much by himself without much support from the other team. I want to find some sharpenings and grinding wheels for Bree. I wish I could just find them naturally, but they never show up when you want them to, you know? I feel like that happens a lot, where if I find the cards like the very next run, or the items, where it's just like, man, I really could have used that item another run, but it's not every run, literally. It just feels like that sometimes. Sometimes I get very lucky too, and then I say that I was lucky. I hope, maybe. Now, I wanted to put Mark on the dragon there, but he was, what's it called? Buffered, so couldn't do anything else. I was tempted, it's very questionable whether I should do the sharp versus the take advantage of stealth on Rain of Arrows, but I ended up not playing Rain of Arrows anyway, because I think Nezglect will have the damage. And I kind of want a little bit more healing, because we're in a somewhat precarious spot for the boss fight, and I don't think the dragon, even if he lives, will do too much more damage. Plus, we have another turn for us to get excellent anyways, so there's no real harm in letting him stay alive, which is why I didn't play Rain of Arrows there. Able to play Battle Shout. It's a little bit more healing on everybody because it gives vitality. There we get a purple entrenched. Hey, we find Deja Vu. That's really wonderful. I want to take a stealth thing there because I'm noticing Gustav is like all our damage. Active camouflage will eventually sharpen and stealth us and draw us a card, and that'll be useful for Gustav later on, though again it's getting him more away from the support role and more into the damage carry role. I'm sorry, but I was definitely very wishy-washy on like what I felt like Gustav's role should be on this team. Maybe I should have just gone full support, but it felt like a waste to not use the mine damage that we're going to be getting from increasing, it felt like a waste of the sharp we'd be getting on him to not increase, or to not have him do all like the songs and damage that he could with his concert. I don't know. Eventually we do need to find more cards that vanish for Nezglect, so that he basically has nothing else but cards that vanish in his deck, and the one Mind Twist that never vanishes, I believe. That way he can just do as much damage as possible. Something else that's nice about Andrin here is slices are now free, so they're just free one-cost cards that also mark that I could play more of for Wild Hunt, I think. Did I just... I don't know. I think I just made a mistake there. Man, maybe I was like super tired when I was playing this run because I could have just played more. It didn't matter anyways. Find Weakness is a nice card. I'll take Adrenaline on Gustav just so he has energy when he needs it. Find Weakness is great for Andrin. It's a mark plus vulnerable card, and Bree isn't always adding all the vulnerable I need her to, so might as well take it here, I felt like. If we do apply a decent amount of mark turn 1, though not as much as I would like, it's kind of the pain of not drawing, what's it called first? Wild Hunt first turn, or before you are able to play any of your draw spells. I wasn't able to go slower here to be able to kill the spikes before they go. I had hoped Bree would be able to slow down the spikes, that Gustav could then kill them before they go, because they can deal a decent amount of damage. Bree unfortunately she was able to with the Piercing Owl, and she got Shackles on the boss, and also I'm going to be able to kill the boss very easily. Yeah, like, that was around 300 damage, maybe a little bit over 300 damage from Gustav in one card, so he's doing pretty good. Now, we do find an Archmage book for Nezglect. It's not the weapon I want him to end up having for the long run, but it is a good weapon. Now, I can't take the ring that gives powerful every turn on Gustav, because he already has his Sharpen Ring. I could have done it on Nezglect, but again, the Archmage book I felt like was definitely going to carry us through to the next area here. Not that things are going badly. I don't think we've had to repeat a single fight, if I recall correctly. So, this team is very decent. It's not perfect. It's not killing as fast as it could some of the time, but still pretty good. I cheapened Smoke Bomb there. I think it's better cheaper? No, and then I increase its price again? Did I? Oh, maybe because I don't think Andrin has energy problems right now. We do have a Deja Vu. I can now upgrade the Mind Blast to vanish. Okay, and Mind Twist can vanish along the way, but we don't necessarily want it to because it's going to be the one thing that scales off the insanity that Deja Vu is going to be applying, which Deja Vu can apply insanity faster than most things can, save for maybe Spectral Missiles, which would be nice to buy right about now if I could remember it. Based on my tone, you probably could guess that I am not going to remember that. Here we also buy our other Deja Vu, so I'm kind of putting the plan to fruition. I'm keeping the hallucination to see its damage comparison. I might want to get rid of more foresights here. He doesn't have, Nesgulk that is, doesn't have a lot of energy to spare just yet. He's usually starting turns with just his base 4 at turns 1 and 2. But yeah, we don't have enough for Grinding Wheel either if I want to make any other changes to the decks, which I do. So I opt not to get Grinding Wheel and just get a Sharpen that's going to stay in Bree's deck. It's a skill, so it's going to be free, and she'll be able to play that on either Nesgulk or Gustav, most likely Nesgulk, because Gustav should be getting the Sharpen in any case. Neverending Story is the song I want for Gustav, because you can repeat it, it hits all monsters, it's going to be a fun, like, sort of carry, and that's what I like. I remembered that card existed and realized I should use that instead of Rain of Arrows, because that's more fitting. No, I didn't say better, I just said more fitting. Though I actually do think it is a little bit more damaging too, not on the base damage, but it can repeat more times, which allows it to be more damaging overall with enough stacks of Sharpen than Rain of Arrows will be. So it can be really good. Is all I'm trying to say. It could be better. So I will eventually hopefully get rid of that Rain of Arrows. I'm realizing Foresights aren't really necessary. I don't necessarily want Clarities either, because that's more of the support role, and I want him to carry. Again, that's like my whole goal this time. And I'm planning to go to the temple because, yes, I want to pick up Durandal again. I don't know, I'm having fun picking it up and playing spells and getting Bless every time I play a spell. So Nesgulk also has that one extra Bless perk. That way he can get 2 Bless a turn, or sorry, 2 Bless a spell 2 times a turn and heal himself up a little bit more. So it's good, all things considered. The frog has 5 sharp on Chant of Accuracy, which is really nice, though arguably quick shots are just better at this point because quick shots are, I think, around 5 sharp as well. Maybe they're only 4 sharp right now, but they also draw a card. So they're kind of a free 5 or 4 sharp, like completely free, and some damage as well. So yeah, I don't know. Chance of accuracies are getting a lot worse on Gustav, unless of course I want to make them target Nesgulk, which I should probably think about doing more so Nesgulk can do more, but I don't know. I'm not. Energizing Serenade is hilarious here because Melik and I, we'd always complain we never find Energizing Serenade on the support frog. The first time we went carry Song Frog, bam, Energizing Serenade shows up early, kind of like it did now. We're in Act 3, and we already have the legendary upgraded Energizing Serenade available for Gustav. And boy, was I tempted to take it just for fun, but I didn't. This fight can be a bit tricky because the Lamian back doesn't let us play any spells if she goes off, so not necessarily the thing I want to be doing. Letting her go, I mean, as the thing I want to be doing. So, as a general rule of thumb, just don't. Oh, it's important to play the Scream card early too, sometimes. It's very awkward. I also draw Heavy Metal there. Oh god, that's a really rough turn. You want to play it first so you get the maximum sharpen out of it, but sometimes you want to play it later so that you just get the extra damage on all enemies out of it. Depends on how much damage you think you're going to be able to do. This ends up being a kind of rough turn. We absolutely can't let the Lamian back go this turn because she will silence all of our characters for 2 turns. And then we don't do anything for 2 turns because all of our damage is with... I mean, I guess I do have Rain of Arrows technically. So maybe it would have been a huge problem. I don't know. But again, Gustav just kills everybody. I should have probably waited to heal up a little bit more. Debated taking Shield Slam there as a 4 slow, but it wasn't the right version yet, and I didn't want to keep it in the deck too much. I did remove a Chant of Accuracy there, so I wanted to heal and get rid of some cards here because we were already suffering a little bit. But I decided to see what the fish option was, and then I remembered that it just gives you the fish card that you had, which is cool because now Nezglect has a purple fish. It's another card in his deck that vanishes, which, by the way, is another reason for him to have a good vanish card. So, sorry, a good vanish card. An item that puts cards in his hands that draw and vanish, like Mixing Bowl or any of the fishing rods or the golden meat card. So yeah, at this point, I've kind of like given up on making Nezglect like the full carry. I'm just gonna have him do whatever he can, and the frog is the carry. I did this to myself. I feel bad because it's not exactly what I wanted it to be, but it's not bad. It's fun, and hey, you know what? I haven't shown off the song frog before, so we get to have him having a good time. Ah, man, I really need to change those chant of accuracies, because you can see it's not even like worth it for me to play right now, because I already have 50 sharp on Gustav, and that's gonna be something he's gonna be able to get himself to, not necessarily easily every fight, but most fights. So Andrin also ends up paying the price here and dies because of my, I don't know, wishy-washiness, I want to say. Nezglect's very close to dying, and he's also our only heal, so I don't necessarily want to kill everything. But I don't want to let them go either and do more damage, so I don't pick up that chant of accuracy even though it's upgraded, and I totally could. Oh man, I'm just like beating myself up over this. Bree had that automatic success there, so at least she doesn't get a bad card in her deck. I'm feeling really, really nervous about this fight because I know the seahorse was going to outspeed us, and yeah, he did, and we're thankfully not all slowed, which would have been the end of the run right there. But we are all in a very tenuous circumstance. Thankfully, I'm also able to have everybody else go first, so maybe we can kill some of the other characters before they go next. Although I don't think Nezglect's going to have the damage all by himself. Though that front guy is a little bit worrying. He does have the damage all by himself, and he gets off a solid heal too because he was bleeding a little bit. So still, we take a decent chunk more damage than I would like to take. And there's a chance of us getting an excellent as well, so yeah, we have the double battle shout. I kept them both at 2 costs because I wanted Bree's deck to be really cheap so that I could play more sharpened cards later, especially if I could draw, or not draw, but find a grinding wheel. Man, it'd be awesome to have a grinding wheel. I couldn't play the Rain of Arrows there because if I did, the damage to all team, or the entire team, would be too much and kill off Gustav and probably set up Nezglect for death as well. So I needed some block before I could do that, but unfortunately Bree had been shackled or slowed way too much, so I wasn't able to do that. Here she gets off a ton of blocks, so now we can attack into it no problem. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean we have to give up our excellent, but better than having our entire team die, right? Or I guess not our entire team, but all of our damage dealers. Arguably, I could have played Rain of Arrows there, but I wanted to heal up at least a little bit more, forgetting that the sheep would kill the heron, so I should have done slightly less net damage than that. And at this point, I mean, great isn't too much better than good, so I decided to let her live just to get a little of extra healing off, and hey, a scarab shows up for my efforts, so we're able to get a little bit more money here, which is one thing that's going kind of well right now, thanks to the scarab showing up and everything else we've had. Andrew dying did suck, but it's not the end of the world. And money's pretty nice. We should be able to kill her off. We don't even have to attack her. She's bleeding to death right now, and we'll get a little bit of extra insanity heals thanks to her sticking around. And we get good anyways. So Meditate's a great card. We want all the energy we can on Nezglect. Here we get level 4, so we get the Chosen One, which will apply insanity and vulnerable to enemies. That's very nice. We can pick up Ethereal Knives, which does transform all damage to Mind, which is something I've been wanting to do. Now I'm like, oh man, maybe I could use Rain of Arrows. I don't know, I'm so wishy-washy on this run. Oh man. This is what happens when I don't come in with a super clear plan. I just like go straight away. We do actually roll a nice benefit here where we have a discounted altar. So that was pretty sweet. We were able to upgrade a lot of cards I wanted to upgrade for cheap. And look at this, another Energizing Serenade, just to taunt us. However, removing 2 cards here is what I really want to do, even though this is a little bit dangerous if they get to attack us and we don't have too much block. Now, Bree didn't get a lot of block this turn, so the only other option is to kill faster. Or maybe we could stealth through it all. But I'm going to opt to try to kill faster. That way we don't get super vulnerable and stuff each turn. Sometimes this is a, what's it called, a corruption that's not too difficult to deal with. Sometimes, because you just kill so fast. Sometimes it's a game-ending one that ramps up damage so fast because all your resistances are gone thanks to the vulnerable. And you just lose the run. It's happened to me once before. And yeah, unfortunately, we are just taking damage from everybody. Also, the slow on everybody hurts a little bit too, but thankfully Andrin is fast enough. Oof, man, what a fight. Gustav can't even survive that, and yeah, I think this is gonna be our first restart, isn't it? Yeah, there's no way Nezglect and Bree can carry it from here, right? Not with Amnesia coming in our decks every turn. There's another Scarab showing up, which is kind of cool. That's not gonna be enough. Yeah, I don't know why I'm continuing to go. I know it's over. I need to restart the fight. It would be nice if I could draw those Command and Conquerors early. They've been showing up really late, or sorry, not they've been showing up. It would have been nice if I could have drawn Command and Conquer really early. The thing that's been showing up late has been Bree's other block card, not Command and Conquer, but Command and Conquer will let us heal and also take mitigated damage. So, yeah. Ylmer playstyle with Andrin's pretty similar. I get rid of all the cards that I need to immediately. Also, not letting the enemies be vulnerable is somewhat rough. It does make it harder to OTK them. Not that I'm OTKing, but it makes it harder to kill even one enemy. So here I have to be a bit better with my target selection. If I do that, then I should be pretty good. I want to kill the eyeball and back, because the eyeball has just been putting Amnesia on the deck. But it wouldn't be bad if I killed the Roots monster as well, because he's just taking the most damage. So, and killing anything would be better than killing, or almost killing something else that I want to kill more. So that's my argument for doing this the way I'm doing it, but unfortunately we don't get the kill there either. So we do have to suffer a little bit. Serrated weapons, by the way, is not something that's like super relevant in Andrin's deck. Yes, it can have him doing more damage over time, but like it hardly ever comes up because he's only playing so many slices a turn. There's that 3 extra sharp on Nezglect. Now he's going to be doing real damage. Transforming all damage to mind is fun for the frog. It also gives him the small weapons every turn after he plays it, so that can be pretty useful. Having the Bass is pretty fun for increasing Deja Vu's damage and Insanity application, so we are getting actually really decent heals now from Nezglect. Unfortunately, the Eyeball does know how to apply Courage and also remove all Insanity from itself, so it's just going to make it really hard for Gustav to do any damage here, but he does it. He gets through that, like, super high resistance. There's an upgraded Rain of Arrows for me to take too, and at this point now delay response makes sense to me. I could have had another Chant of Accuracy as well. Thankfully we are able to get rid of the 2 cards, and I should just get rid of that Rain of Arrows. I think I do, yeah. Foresights, like I said, they're not really that good anymore either. The Mind Blasts are going to be also just much worse than Deja Vu's later on, so I'm planning to get rid of that. The answer is 457. I know that from past experience and looking it up on the wiki. In my past experience, so. I also looked it up then because I was too nervous I'd get it wrong. Durandal is really cool. I could play a spell, recover 5% HP, and gain Bless. Arguably, that's a lot better on Gustav, because it gives him +1 more Sharpen charge. And of course, he can make use of the Bless damage as well. Yeah, I don't know, like, Tempest is clearly also just better than Durandal for the most part for Gustav, other than him getting up to 50 sharp, but if he's at 50 sharp, I'm not really complaining. Also gives him some free damage cards that draw and increase damage, so yeah. I don't know, Tempest is just better. Durandal's really nice for Nezglect though. At least gives him some way of starting to ramp up damage each turn, although I don't have the perk that lets Bless stick around and not fall off at the end of turn, so it's going to be even harder to ramp up damage. Still, the one I was kind of fearing on this fight was the big Naga. I don't have too much block, so I'm not super worried about the monk, though the monk can sometimes blow people up with dark. It really depends on how he's feeling that day. Still, I don't expect him to be too much of a problem, but I'm going to kill him off if I can. And yeah, we kill off everybody turn 2, get an excellent. Purple meditate, fantastic. So, fight wasn't too bad. Pretty good showing. The frog's doing like, I don't know, like 1,000 damage a turn at this point. If he has a really good turn. And now I get both my block card and Command and Conquer first turn, so we get to draw a bunch, heal a bunch, and get powerful on everybody. It's just overall great for everyone. Yeah, I'm trying to draw as much as possible. We do have the camouflage drawing now. I have more energy for Gustav. Like, I keep eating adrenalines in the deck because he has a lot of ways to draw now. So ideally I want to be able to draw through my whole deck and have enough energy to play all the cards that I need to do. But there's not a lot of ways to cheapen songs outside of his potion slot. Meaning I kind of need to get lucky and find something like War Drum again. I still don't know. I still don't think buying Gauntlets was the right choice. Man. Like, it hasn't been bad, but Nezglek being powerful doesn't matter as much on the first turn, unfortunately. But dang, does Gustav do damage. Hey, we get Neverending Story on Gustav now, which is really fantastic. I kind of forgot about Architect's Ring existing, but it's really great for Nezglek, except for the fact that he goes last. So the hero that gains the Energize and Inspire will gain it on the start of turn 2. Not exactly when you want to gain it, but it's a random hero anyway, so it wouldn't always work the way I wanted, regardless. Gladiator helmet's just a better damage helmet for the most part. It gives some decent resistance as well, so adds survivability as on top of adding the fury damage. Hoping I can get a purple one later on to have even more fury damage, because fury damage is separate from increasing your damage with powerful, and I already have enough powerful each turn. There's an argument for upgrading the Neverending Story. I want to get Battle Plan for Bree though, because Battle Plan is such a great card, and Bree, unfortunately, she hasn't been getting the combo cards. Like, she didn't get a Battle Plan. She hasn't found a Last Stand either. Spectral Missiles is something I want to buy on Nezglek. So yeah, Battle Plan, Last Stand, where you search for defense cards and make them zeros. Kind of a fun combo for the warriors, make them survive a lot better. If you're killing first turn, which, like, arguably I could have tailored this run to do a lot better, it's not as necessarily to get those defense cards now, is it? But again, this is sort of like a midway, like, we're kind of damaging first turn and trying to kill them first turn, but we're also totally okay with going into round 2, and we don't take too much damage and can kind of recover for it for the most part, though there have, of course, been those fights that have been hard. I don't think I ended up buying Spectral Missiles for Nezglek there, because I wanted those other things done, but it's a bit unfortunate. Maybe I'll find some later down the line. The Naga Guardian up front here really scares me. I don't know if that's even what he's called. Well, actually, the mini-bosses have their own names. Neptune. There we go, I saw it there for a second. Neptune is really damaging, especially on turn 2. He ends up doing like a lightning attack that hits like 7 times, and depending on how much wet you have on you, it can... I don't know. I feel like it's done like hundreds of damage before. So yeah, that Thunder Fury. Thankfully his team isn't really the best at applying wet, but you see Nezglek goes down right there. The frog can probably do enough damage on its own, so I'm not too worried as long as I can have enough sharp. Unfortunately, the Dark Gun Boy right there gets rid of all my sharp at the start of each turn, so there I was able to win, but I wanted to see if I could have Nezglek survive. I did remember to upgrade the Throw Bolas, or not upgrade, but change the upgrade of Throw Bolas so that it chains and I can shackles 2 people instead. Helping Hands are also deshacklings for now. I'll try to remember to change those to get rid of Insanity before we fight the final boss, because there won't be any shackles on the final boss, but there will be a lot of Insanity. So it's useful to have Helping Hands shift in and out. It's just sort of something I remember each fight. But yeah, we did have to redo this fight, unfortunately. Not the first one this run, but I think it's only the second, so again, not too bad. It's just a little bit of struggle. It's not like my last video with Cornelius at this point, doing like thousands of damage a turn. Oh god, that was fun. Cornelius self-burn. They made it so good with the last DLC update. Did have to retry this fight again. As you can see, I messed up. Man, I'm like, what cards do I get rid of? How do I make this better? Do I need the vulnerability? Do I not need the vulnerability? I don't know. Here, Andrin. I should have upgraded one of my battle shouts to be a, what's it called? A 3-cost battle shout as well. That way it gives some vitality, which is a little bit of healing that Bree can apply, but it also applies a little bit more powerful and 2 turns of reinforce, which is important for the twins fight at the end of the 4th act floor. I'm realizing now that I have to kill that golem before he goes, otherwise I kind of just die. So yeah, it took me a few fights to figure that out, but I eventually do. The frog is like, oh god, like Nezglect and the frog are both in danger of being popped by darkness if they just like get one more pop, and we're still not getting too much block from Bree again. No command and conquer, none of her first, I forget what the first one is called, but it gives like, I don't know, 19 block every skill she plays. We do get the never ending story. Nezglect is able to finish off more people to heal up, and I could let him go, but that would mean I wouldn't do more damage. Or sorry, that wouldn't mean, I didn't get a excellent, which I kind of want better cards here. I'm like tempted by Rain of Arrows once again. So many Rain of Arrows in this fight. Singing Sword is fantastic. Getting a purple Singing Sword would be even better. Arguably, I need the speed on Andrin, though. He hasn't gotten any speed items this entire run. That's another thing that hasn't been going super well. Andrin's just kind of been much slower than I need him to be. So at this point, I kind of have to let the boss summon their clones and then hope to kill the clones fast enough before they can heal up the boss or mess with our energy and card draw. The final boss, that is. But we're not there just yet. That is why I prioritize Night Veil over getting the Singing Sword, even though Singing Sword is really great. I also didn't prioritize Singing Sword because I already had 2 pretty decent weapons. Arguably, I could get rid of Durandal, but so guarantee that Singing Sword would do that much more damage than Durandal over the longer course of a fight. Like if fights go a few more rounds, so yeah, I don't know. May have been the wrong call, but I felt like I needed the speed at this point because that was one thing that was going wrong for me. Also, I want to have the frog not die of bleeding. Currently, the frog thankfully is going slower than Nezglect, so if Nezglect's able to go, I can heal up everybody, but we get Command and Conquer there anyways, so we got all that healing. Bree's a really good healer when she hits level 4 and draws Command and Conquer. It's actually one of the best cards in the entire game as far as like enchantments go. At this point, I want to kill the monk because the monk is going to, I think, remove Fortify and also like apply curses and do just a ton of damage. Thankfully, our frog here should be able to apply enough sharp on himself, even though that gunner keeps getting rid of it. And yeah, we didn't just kill the monk, we killed everybody but the dragon. So Gustav's turns are really good. Really damaging. I'm very happy with like how he's kind of turning out, even though I didn't like focus fully on it for a large part of the run, but I definitely had to switch to do that. I'm very disappointed with how I'm having Nezglect turn out, but I am going to the bell. I'm going to make sure I get at least 1 purple Deja Vu. That's why I saved the shards as well. I wanted to have that option. So yeah, it's a tempting money grab there, or I mean, like, there's nothing really that I need. I could get the, I forget what I showed up there, but I could have gotten that card. It's not the best card in the world. It does a decent amount of slow every turn. Or, sorry, not every turn, but when you draw it, does slow to everybody, which could be useful in the clones fight if I drew it and was able to play it. By the clones fight, I mean the hand check fight. I don't know, the hand check fight is, like, all about how you deal with the clones or just kill hand check first. Otherwise, like, you don't deal any damage to hand check in the first turn because the clones will just heal him all up and then they'll attack you and be really annoying, and yeah, I don't know. It's all about killing the clones before they can go. So it's the clones fight. Here we get another Command and Conquer. Again, great heal. Bree's really doing it now. Which is good, because now we have like 2 kind of half healers. Yeah, Never Ending Story was not disappointing, by the way. The only bad part about it is that we could play it turn... We could only play it turn 2? Oh my gosh, my brain. Yeah, turn 2, because we have to have stanza 2, and I don't have a quicker way to get stanza 2. Also, going the Betty route means you capture a farmer, so we get to go down to this item shop here, get a bunch of free items available. The Nullifier is amazing, but I don't know that I can get rid of Breeze fast. I do it anyways because Andrin's been speeding her up, I realize. So I'm like, yeah, that makes more sense. At this point, I'm not sure I need the Piercing Howl, the extra Piercing Howl in the deck, but I do need Bree to survive, and having a little bit more Fortify and block at the start would be very nice. I was talking about survival. I'm also tempted to get Diamond Ring. I'm not tempted to slow Bree down with Defiler. I think that'd be a little bit rough to do, though honestly, might not be the worst play. Defiler is really hard to find a niche for, by the way. It's a cool legendary idea as far as armor goes, but I don't know, it's just like... If there was a way to plan around it, like to find it early, I think Defiler would be usable. But like, since you can't really plan for it, it's hard to build a run around it that does like shadow damage and shadow sharp, and you also are blocking with those characters. The speed -2 also kind of hurts. Honestly, I wouldn't even mind if it didn't give any block charges and didn't have the speed -2 and was more of a rare card that you could find somewhere. That'd be a great item for me. The resistances it gives is pretty cool too. I haven't talked about this fight at all though. Let me get back to talking about this. The Belfior, I think is what he's called. I don't know, he's like the brother of Belfour. But he's a pretty scary one. He can ramp up a lot of fire damage really quick. He also summons imps all the time. So if we can't kill everything, or just him, very quickly, then it doesn't really matter. I killed that guy there because he wasn't going to survive anyways. I do find a last stand on Bree. I'm very happy about this. Andrin finds ambidextrous, which can be really nice. Purple ambidextrous, reducing it by 3 for all time is really cool. Here I'm hoping to find something better than what I did, but Continuum Blade is really nice for Andrin. It means his slices get to draw cards. Unfortunately, I think I only have like 1 in the deck now. Maybe 2. I try to keep at least 2 usually. Sometimes 3 if I'm playing. I should have maybe kept the slice because it was going to draw, but I didn't. I'm saving up on the smoke bomb there, by the way, because I want to stealth later and have that damage matter more. Whereas doing it first turn sometimes doesn't help at all. Here we're also not doing too much damage on our first turn. It wasn't really like the most explosive I could have. I did get up to a lot of sharp on Gustav, but unfortunately not so much damage. Bree also gets super slowed here, and I don't really have a plan on how to deal with it. I was kind of just like hoping to kill the guy in back first. That was the overall plan. I'm happy to have these purple Deja Vus, and they're dealing solid damage. Like you can see, Nezglek's doing like 140 damage with every Deja Vu here, and they're at like 100 insanity already. So Nezglek's finally popping off as sort of a sort of pseudo carry. Obviously, that's not like the hundreds of damage that Gustav is doing every single turn, or like see Gustav's doing like over almost 400 damage every card there. We almost have people die to the 1 Guardian left over, so we definitely couldn't have taken 2, but thankfully we didn't have to. We are fast enough at killing that we could survive at least that. Never Ending Story isn't as good here, but it's also not too bad. And I figured with the amount of damage that Nezglek's been doing, he'll be able to finish things off very nicely. Look at all those purple Deja Vus. Oh, it feels so good, although it does mean that all you'll ever draw is Deja Vu from that point on. So it can be a little bit bad. Bouncing Shield is usually pretty good, but it's kind of bad here because we're not getting up to high amounts of block. We're getting at like maybe 100, a little bit over sometimes. I go for the Inspire, or I go for the Friendly Tadpole because I'm like, you know what? I always take the Inspire perk, and this one is more fun. We are able to get some really good items here. So we get a Purple Crusader's Helm, which is really nice. I want to take Kingmaker because when healed, you gain Bless, and we could have even more Bless being gained on Nezglek. Now, arguably, we're not getting healed too much of the time, so it's not the best. But I don't know. I don't take it. I'm hoping that the Energize and Inspire is better. I go down, I believe. I think that was down. I don't know. I clicked kind of fast there. Maybe you guys saw. But I go down because I want to do the purple heart thing, I think. Or maybe that was last run. Ooh, I think I had Nesglect on both runs, maybe. I'm not sure. Right, I'm just remembering the site team. Man, all the runs are blending into each other. I did record this like almost 2 weeks ago now before I started voicing over it, so forgive me for forgetting some of the stuff that is going on in the run. I do generally know what I was planning though. Yep, Deja Vu, doing pretty good. Mind Twist is doing some good damage too. Nesglect, even without too much Sharp and just a little bit of Bless, he's doing really great damage. So I'm a little bit sad I didn't go all in on the damage for Nesglect. It could have been a lot of fun. Could have maybe given him more energy too. We have the Stealth card this turn. I don't think they'll survive past this turn. I'm really just hoping to get more block because I don't want to take too much damage from the guy's Retribution stuff. Now the Frog is having a harder time getting up there in his damage, but there we go. Never-ending story, just taking them all out. Second win on Breeze, usually pretty good. I do find Terror Ring, which for the amount of insanity that we're applying, kind of is just better than the Architect's Ring. So at this point, I don't feel too bad in taking the Terror Ring, which means I also don't feel too bad in taking the, or not taking the Bless card. Or the King's Blessing, where you get healed, you gain Bless and buffer and stuff, so yeah. Or the Kingmaker, that's what it's called, not King's Blessing. That's silly. Yeah, so we did go down. Here, there are a few cards that I should remove the other Deja Vu. I should remove the Foresight in Nesglect's deck. I don't need those anymore. Did I do that? Man, I felt like I skipped pretty fast here. I didn't pause this. Last Reward is really, really good, but I'm not sure I can actually take this particular corruption, so I don't go for it. Man, I feel like there are a few more cards I should have gotten rid of there. It was maybe a little bit of a blunder. That's okay. Probably won't matter too much in the long run, right? Totally. I definitely don't know the ending of this run. Like I said before, I will... what's it called? I will show runs that make it to the final boss, even if they don't beat the final boss. One of the nice things about picking up the weapons there, or the reason that I did it, the weapons cache that is because I'm transforming all damage to mind anyways for Gustav. So we're automatically taking advantage of the insanity, reducing the resistances, and making sure that every weapon deals mind damage, so we're not going to be losing out on anything there. Unless it's just the Poison Flask, the dreaded Poison Flask card, which it can be sometimes. We also picked up the Ballad of Conquest, which is great. We can double Ballad of Conquest, so now I can support Nesglect at least a little bit better. We do also happen to find a Eviscerate on Andrin, which is what I was hoping for, because you know what? He's going to be able to sharpen himself up as well with his cards. We could have gotten rid of some more cards there, but I feel like I didn't. Ooh, man. Also, wait, is this fight at real speed? Oh boy. This fight does appear to be at real speed. Wait, did I mess that up? Man, what do you think? Do I just like speed it up manually really quick? Or do I just let this go? Do we play in slow mode and just show really what's going on? You can really see the wires like turning in my mind here. And by wires turning in my mind, I guess it would be like normally gears is what people would say. Oh man, maybe there are wires in my mind instead. Oh boy. Yeah. Sorry, I'm still like debating what I want to do here. There's quite a bit left to go in the video. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to pause it. Where are we at? We're at 103.50. Okay. I'm going to pause it really quickly. Sorry about this, but I kind of don't want to make another recording, so you are also going to have to deal with this. And then I'm going to put it up to 200%. And then that's going to be okay. And then we're going to go to 103.53. And here we go. Well, at least be at 200% speed. So yeah, this is Gustav's turn. This is at least a lot more bearable for me to watch. Hopefully, I hope that's the same for you as well. We got a purple tune-up as well, so we can get Neverending Story off on turn 1 if we really want to, because that gets us up to stanza 2 straight away, which is pretty fun. Also, every time we play small weapons, the other reason to pick up weapons cache is that every time we play a small weapon, we get a small weapon in our hand twice a turn. Getting Deja Vu early is a little bit dangerous on Nesglet because we might start drawing them too much and never get to the end of our deck, which we do have some good cards in our deck that we eventually want to get to the end of. I should have definitely removed that yellow Deja Vu. It was a big mistake not to. You only need 1 purple. I kind of just wasn't thinking about it at the time. But now that I'm thinking about it, I realize 1 Deja Vu would have been fine. Also getting rid of Foresight would have been fine. Although I think I kept it in the deck because I had such energy problems with Nesglect. He felt like he just wasn't getting enough a lot of the time. Still, this fight isn't too bad. Eviscerate's actually dealing some decent damage. And while I wasn't able to... oh yeah, we have the Endless Bag. I wasn't able to go killing everything. God, what am I trying to say? I wasn't able to kill the clones before they go. I was able to stealth up, which meant that they couldn't really do too much, and Andrin, when he takes a hit, he gets stealthed anyway, so even though I played the cards in the slightly wrong order, it didn't matter too much. Eviscerate at least did a little bit of damage. Fun fact, both Hand Check and Dark Archon Near can be shackles. Their clones can't, so I often forget that shackle can be useful sometimes. But yeah, it does allow us to go first here, meaning maybe we can take out the clones, though it's really hard. I have a good Never-Ending Story. I should have played Chant of Accuracy first, though. That just would have been the better option to do. So, a few mistakes going on here, making this fight maybe a little bit harder than it needs to, though I feel like I can kind of grind on this fight. I am worried about Hand Checks turn 3. We're not really getting rid of too many debuffs on ourselves, and if we have too much fire, he'll kill us. I definitely don't want to let the clones go for a second time, so that's why I'm killing them all here. Now, you can see every time we play a, what's it called? A Deja Vu, a purple Deja Vu, that is. We are just popping Dark on the enemies, so that's an extra, like, 50 damage every card. So, I don't know. I'd play a card that does, that costs 1 and does an extra 50 damage plus the 100 damage that it's doing, so. Yeah. Purple Deja Vu, Terror Ring, pretty fun stuff. Even if this fight isn't going super well. I definitely made some mistakes not at the very end here. Like, I could have optimized my decks a little bit more, but sadly I'm only seeing that now in retrospect. Yeah, we're no longer stanza 3 either because we took the small or the wide sleeves card, and so we don't stay in stanza 3 the whole time. So it's a little bit bad. We are able to kill. We get Dark Concoction. Some of the times, like, most of the small weapons are pretty good. So yeah, we're gonna have to repeat this fight too. I will be honest, this fight ended up taking quite a bit of time for me. So unfortunately, we had that slow little fight right there. I'm playing at 200 speed, which is okay. Now that we're back here, let me slow down the video a little bit, shall I? Gosh, this is a little bit jank, but it's okay. 1:12:16. I'll remember that number. It's okay, most of the people have stopped watching by this point in the run anyways. 1:12:16. Cool. So, slowed it back down so it's not double speed on a 300% speed video anyways. Because, yeah, I play a little slow, so I just speed up the videos so they're a little bit more manageable to watch, even though sometimes it's hard when I play fast to see what I actually did. But here we're able to get the dream of doubling up Eviscerate. My goal is to kill at least one clone and then be able to play Smoke Bomb. If I can kill the clone that would heal up hand check, it means that we don't have to worry about him getting rid of all the mark that we've already applied, and we can deal more damage to him a little bit quicker. So I think this is going to be my final try at hand check. I think I had to do this 3 or 4 times, unfortunately, as you might have often heard on some of my videos. I do make mistakes every now and then. But yeah, this fight, I basically can't go to round 3 because I didn't bring any like mass dispels or anything like that to help me survive in the longer fights. I was kind of just expecting to kill faster. Here we get a much better never-ending story turn. I kind of play it more optimally like I should. I'm pretty sure like Nezglek's going to be able to kill the rest of these guys, although I forget that my sheep is actually dead for once, and so it doesn't kill off the rest of these guys for me, so I do have to actually hit them with Deja Vus and stuff, which fortunately Deja Vus are really good. They do heal up hand check and his mark is all gone, but we're still dealing a good amount of damage anyways. That just means that I need Andrin to start applying more mark again. Thankfully, the +3 mark that he has means that even these slices are dealing or adding 6 mark per hit, so pretty solid. Now we have round 3, and I'm really scared, but we lined up our turns correctly so that we could have our big block card on this turn. So I'm hoping that'll be enough to survive, because if we can survive just one more turn, I mean, look, Gustav's doing like 400 damage a card easy for the most part. So I'm fairly certain that we're going to be able to do even more. Or, sorry, I'm fairly certain we'll be able to take out, like, what, 2,500 HP on the next turn? Which is all he has, yeah. And even Nezglek survives, so now we're doing pretty good. We got our big block turn on the correct timing, and thankfully are able to survive. That was a combination of like not having to draw too many cards at the very start and other things. Now I don't think the next fight was nearly as hard for me, as sometimes happens. Handshake has some really scary turns. I mean, the Dark Archon, or Archon Near does as well, but like Handshake's turn 3 where he turns all his fire to dark really can pop some teams. And also the Dark Archon only summons 1 clone, which is kind of easier to get rid of. There's a reason I'm not playing Song of Celerity. I didn't want to speed everybody up because I wanted Bree to be able to slow down the clone so that Andrin could go first on the next turn with a Piercing Howl. So that did happen the way I wanted it to. Now, we never really got good defense cards for Last Stand. We're just kind of sad. And we only had 1 Entrench, and it was purple, so it goes out of the deck. So Last Stand is kind of a dead card now. The Last Hope is adding some fun cards to our deck. Actually, you know what? I do think I struggled on this fight. Now I'm remembering a little bit better now. Sorry, I played a few runs in between, but like, yeah. Picking which was the correct Last Hope cards to get was a fun factor in this fight. It's one of the reasons I like it as a potion slot. Barring having a like harp or something that could reduce my cost of cards in Gustav's deck every turn, that would have been nice. Especially because the harp, I believe, reduces the card's cost permanently. Now, I wasn't able to kill the clone, so I'm going to have Andrin draw a slow. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a slow. So, yeah. This fight's going to be a lot harder than I envisioned it. So now I need to have Andrin just kill the clone himself, which he does have the Eviscerates, and I think that was a large part of figuring out this fight, was figuring out how to use the Eviscerates in the correct way while keeping the 4 cost 1 in my deck and potentially getting rid of the 7 cost 1 to kill off the clone instead of letting the clone go, because I can't have him going. He fortunately dies to Bree's Thorns right there before he can remove all energy and inspire from my entire team. So that was something that's nice. Now this actually, sorry, I think I spent more time on the Dark Archon than I did on Handshake. I think Handshake that was only like 2 times, and this was like the 3 or 4 times, like the, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to win the run sort of thing. which this might be, I don't know, it might be a little telling. I actually am curious if people care whether or not I win the run or not at the very end. Like if people want there to be a little bit of mystery. I've had it in the past where like I know it's fun for me to watch a streamer and not know whether they're gonna win or not. Generally they're like pretty decent at the game and they usually are uploading their victories of runs or things that they've done well. But sometimes like having a loss can be kind of fun and it can be kind of interesting to see is like, oh, is this gonna be the end where they just have to accept defeat or not? Yeah, I don't know if anybody will hear this last section, but if you do, let me know. I'd be curious what your guys' thoughts are, because I personally like the idea of having a run where you don't know if the outcome is going to be a victory or a defeat, but maybe people just want to see the wins anyways, so I could always upload winning runs. Although it might make it a little bit easier for me in the future if I don't have to win every run. Though normally I lose much earlier in runs than at the end of the game. Normally I'm pretty decent at figuring out how to play my cards right at the end. Yeah, getting Reverberant Verse for free is really nice. It was a good pickup by Last Hope. That's a nice like 900 damage card. So the problem here is I need to survive a little bit more, and the Dark Explosions that we're taking on hitting him here. Sorry, I need to have a little bit more health to survive this next turn and the turn after that. The Dark Explosions are just dealing a little bit too much to Nezglect and the Frog. And yeah, Nezglect, of course, having a ton of Vanish cards, just straight dies to the good old deal damage based on their Vanish cards card that he plays during his Mind turn. So I'm hoping the Frog can deal with 6,000 health. There's a decent chance he can, and I need to make sure that I shouldn't have played that Battle Shout. I know why I did, because I want the Frog to have powerful, but getting rid of the slow on the Frog means that he has to go during this turn where he's not only super resistant to mind damage, but also, what's it called? Getting evade every time he gets hit, or to evade every time he gets hit, meaning, yeah, it's a no-go. So yeah, yeah, here it is. I'm like showing this is another attempt. We get to round 6. I could have won here if I had played my cards right. I was like, oh, surely I didn't need to like play everything super optimally. I felt like I was in a super comfortable position getting all the way to round 6 and I was going to have enough damage. I was not though, and I ended up dying faster than I thought and didn't keep the Eviscerates in Andrin's deck long enough to win. So yeah, that was probably like attempt number 3 or 4, and this would be like attempt number 4 or 5. So it took a bit to figure this fight out. A very specific card order had to be played. And very specific Last Hope cards as well. So I do take Ballad of Evasion on the Frog, because having that evasion, and more specifically the buffer to not get weakened and stuff, is going to be very useful later on. At least that's the hope. We're also dealing more damage now, and I have to play some of the Doom cards. Initially I thought I could do it without applying any more Doom to myself for the entire fight, and thus messing up my hands more than I needed to. But unfortunately I couldn't. I also do manage to get to the Chosen every turn early on as well, so that's something, another little detail there. Thankfully, I know Andrin's going to have enough damage to take out the clone. I didn't want to play that other Deja Vu, but the Dark Damage Explosion there was going to be pretty helpful, and they go into my discard pile anyways, which means I'm probably never going to draw them again because I have purple Deja Vu. This fight's great. I love the music for this fight too, which is playing right now. There I do get rid of I play the higher cost Eviscerate because I plan on picking up with Last Wish, which will turn it into a Vanish card, and that lets me kill the clone before the clone even gets to go, so I don't have to worry about it dying to Thorns. We have some good ways to buff up the Frog and play powerful and all that sort of stuff. Here's a really good block turn, and we have our Fortify this turn as well. So as long as I can keep all my Fortify, or sorry, as long as I can survive this round at a decent amount of health without using too much on the Dark Explosions, I should be able to survive into round 4 or 5. which I'm pretty confident if Neglect and the Frog survive in round 4 or 5, I can deal with them both. And I said I wasn't going to draw those other Deja Vus, but I did end up doing it, didn't I? Here I'm debating whether to play Meditate or not, whether it really matters. But I decided to use up all my energy because I could. Yeah, I can't play Ballad Evasion yet, but I do have a way to set it up. I just have to make sure I play all my draw cards first. So, by the way to set it up, I mean I literally just have setup in hand. I don't know why I had to like say it like that. So that I can have it on round 2. And here we're not dying to Dark Explosion because he's still on his light phase. So, pretty good turn overall. We're not taking too much damage. And now I can kind of chill out on this turn because he's already close to half health. So I don't have to hit him as many times, and I don't have to pop myself on the Dark Explosions more than once to deal at least enough damage that I feel comfortable taking him out in round 4 or 5. Plus, with Ballad of Evasion, I should be able to take this turn pretty well, as long as I don't do any self-hit cards, getting rid of my evasiveness, or get rid of my buffers too much, which was something I had done on a run accidentally. Andrin, unfortunately, doesn't have much to do, except he is able to stealth us all, which is pretty cool. So yeah, we actually don't take too much here, even though I didn't have Ballad of Evasion, which means I get to have it for the next turn. Sorry, I now remembered that I couldn't play it that turn, but this is pretty great. It does mean that we're weakened, but even weakened, I feel like we're going to be okay. We are able to also stack up all the Insanity on him again, which is nice, meaning his resistances are going to be much lower next turn to all the mind damage that we're doing. We don't have a ton of mark, but we do have... or you don't have a ton of mark on him yet, but we do have 10 vulnerability. Oh yeah, I should mention Nullifier 2 is amazing here, because I think his resistance is like negative 95%, which is low as it can be. No, negative 57% on his resistant turn. I'd have to look now. I'm going to catch it soon. Minus 2%? Oh, he got rid of all the insanity. Sorry, I like... Oh, right, because he transforms all insanity into Sanctify. That's what it is. Which also means that we just heal up by attacking him now, letting us survive another turn. So, and since he shackles on this turn, we guarantee get to go have another light phase where he's not resisting us, and we don't have to worry about being blown up in dark. We do die if he gets to go because we have like 50 Sanctify on us. I was holding out a single Clarity on Neglect to make sure the Frog could survive the dark turn, so he could have one more turn after this. But I don't think it'll be necessary because he's at 6,000 health, and the Frog is doing like 300 damage a quick shot. 900 damage one card there. Whispering Lies are doing 600 damage each. So yeah, Frog by himself pretty much could take him out. Then we have a single Deja Vu. There's the Clarity, showing that I didn't need it, but yeah. That is the end of the run. It was a victory. Pretty decent score for my standards. I don't take all the corruptions or really go for score, to be honest. I did have another run earlier where I failed somewhat early on in making the build. I don't know, I didn't really have decks ready, so it was like a little bit prepared, but not super prepared. As you can see, I had to make the Frog deck at the beginning of the video. Here's my deck setup. I don't think the Frog's deck was too bad. I could have probably had one more quick shot, one less Chant of Accuracy, or I could have had a Chant of Accuracy that stayed in the deck so I could sharpen up Neglect. Would have been nice. Andrin's deck was fun. As far as a mark support goes, it's fun to have him do a little bit more damage with the Eviscerate ambidextrous combos. I do like pulling that off whenever I get the chance, so yeah, he did some work there, and he was able to kill the clone at the end, without which we would have been in real trouble. I should have gotten rid of Deja Vu in the deck. Probably could have gotten rid of Hallucination, though its damage wasn't bad. Yeah, that yellow Deja Vu wasn't very interesting. Or, sorry, not very good. The items there that I had was great. Bree never got a weapon. Didn't need it. I should have had another block card in Bree's deck, but I was hoping to find one and didn't get it. And the Frog stole the show, sung his concert, and did so much damage. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like, and I hope you have a wonderful day. See you next time.